All right, great. So let's get started in a comfortable position to get centered. I'm actually going to start seated today, but you can absolutely be lying down if you'd prefer to be in that place. I think we're going to stay relatively close to the earth today. We'll kind of see how it goes, but just kind of gather your props around that you like to have so that you can have them as we need them. And I'm just going to sit on a little low cushion for now. Nice little guy. And just adjusting so that you do feel reasonably comfortable. And if you're seated with me, just giving yourself that little bit of height underneath your hips so that your spine can have its natural curves, so that it feels relatively easy to breathe. Palms face down is a little bit more grounding. So feel free to try that. Palms face up invites a little bit more energy. So whichever feels kind of right to you, feel free to explore that. And then take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And just take a couple of those, really filling up with breath. Allowing your breath to move wherever it's kind of willing to go right now and sort of noticing where it will go. And just not rushing through the exhales, letting each exhale just complete itself, softening where you can soften. I often think of a snow globe that's been shaken up, and just taking a few moments in the quiet just allows the snow to naturally settle. So whatever kind of thoughts or feelings are going on, let's just give them a moment. We'll just be still, let the dust settle. And take a moment just to really notice the earth beneath your body. Perhaps acknowledging the land that you're sitting on or lying on. Your relationship with that land, your personal and historical and cultural relationship with that land. And noticing how that makes you feel. So I've been thinking lately about just as I always do, different ways of settling the nervous system. And I was thinking that we haven't owned in a while. And that's for a few different reasons. And one of them is that on Zoom, the sound kind of disappears when we have continuous tone like that. But there's a really sweet settling that we can do, which is just a hum. Okay. So I'd like to invite us to share in a little bit of sound making. And it could be an ohm if you like the ohm, it doesn't have to be. It can be a really, really quiet hum, keeping the lips closed. So we're just going to I'll just tell you what it is first, and then we'll do it at our own pace. So we'll take 2 deep breaths, then we'll inhale, and with the exhale, hand on either heart or belly. You could do both if you want. Just a low, even tone with the exhale. Okay, and then we'll inhale again, low, even tone. We'll do it 3 times. Again, as quiet as you want, and if you prefer to ohm, you absolutely can. And we'll just kind of notice what it feels like to be in the body, to hear the humming. This is one way of stimulating the vagus nerve, which can just kind of help to rebalance our nervous systems and settle. Okay. So 2 deep breaths, 3 hums or ohm if you want to. It can be as quiet as you like. Okay. So at your own pace. When that's complete for you, just notice for a moment. And I'll invite you to keep your eyes closed if they're closed or soft. And begin to invite a little bit of movement. So you could start just by rolling the shoulders. Maybe there's a bit of spinal movement that wants to come in. Maybe the neck wants to move as well. So we'll just take a few moments to kind of let the body move in its own way a little bit more intuitively. And if this feels like, what do you mean? It's kind of hard to do. Just think of doing a little seated cat and cow. So you can just inhale to open the chest a little bit and exhale to round. But if you do feel comfortable just kind of rolling with it, just see what comes up, see where your body wants to move, see what directions it wants to move in. And it's nice to close the eyes because, we're not so concerned with what this looks like. We're just feeling around a little bit with what's happening in the body, just really gently. And you might already notice that your breath is getting a bit deeper, getting a bit more fluid. You don't need to do any particular type of breath here, just let the breath kind of flow. And I'd love for you to notice that probably already your breath and movement are connecting. Okay, so just allow that to be true, allow that to happen. It doesn't matter what exactly that looks like or how they're connecting, but just trust that they are. They're in relationship. We often forget that breath is a movement. It's the rise and fall of the diaphragm, among other things. Yeah, it's so nice, you guys. Maybe there's a little bit of an internal movement or a rhythm, rather, like a waving or circling. And if you are circling, just make sure you move in the opposite direction. We'll take about another 5 or 6 breaths here. So really taking your time. And if you're finding that you're naturally coming back to stillness, that's perfect. Okay. And then eventually settling into that stillness or relative stillness. And taking a moment to notice that. Beautiful. Let's release the legs from whatever they're doing. And you can just give them a little shake, a little wobble, just kind of get the circulation moving through. And then let's take a seat that is not usual for us. So normally I cross with my right leg in front, so I'm going to cross with my left leg in front. You could also switch to sitting on your heels or in some other orientation that works for you. And if you just only have one way, that's perfect. Even sitting in a chair is fine. So let's start to work with the upper body a little bit. So next time you inhale, take your arms wide and up to the sky. And as you exhale, draw the hands down along the midline. And again, inhaling nice and wide through the arms. You could look up if you want. Exhaling, maybe even out the mouth. And again. Okay, let's inhale to reach the arms up. And then this time on the exhale, make a cactus with your arms. And see if you can think about squeezing the shoulder blades together. Release the arms, reach them up. And do that 2 more times. So making a cactus shape, squeezing the shoulder blades together and down your back. And again. Exhaling, and this time imagine that you were trying to touch your elbows behind your back. So there's a little extra squeeze at the bottom there. Again. I'm trying to touch the elbows around behind your back. One more time. And this time stay here with this kind of elbows reaching around behind the back, but then straighten your arms and interlace your fingers, or grab your prop behind you, or grab your strap behind you if you prefer, a dowel or whatever, if you want to. You can also hook your thumbs. I'm just interlacing my fingers here. Keep squeezing the shoulder blades together and drawing them down the back. I like to actually press my thumbs onto my prop. They're just pressing onto that little piece of support I've got there. And then I'm hugging the elbows together and pressing the chest forward and up towards the sky. So we're looking for a bit of a chest opening. You could lift the chin a bit if you want to. And then soften, let your hands land behind you and just resettle. Good. Okay. From here, reach one of your arms up towards the sky and over as you exhale. Okay. Inhale up through center. Exhale, bring the arm down. Inhale the opposite arm up. And exhale to side stretch. Okay, so we're just moving side to side nice and slow with the breath. Take your time. Okay, you can go at my rhythm here. So generally, arm reaching up is an inhale, settling is an exhale. But you don't have to follow it my way. Okay, feel free to do it your way. Just waving side to side. Let the neck be kind of soft. And just one more time each side. Sometimes it's so nice to just move in and out and then coming through center. And just kind of let go of the holding and just be in a little bit more of a dynamic movement. So just noticing how that feels for you right here. Okay, we're gonna do one more little piece seated. So if you need to change your legs again, feel free to do that. Okay, or shake them out if you want. We're gonna reach the arms up again like we did before. Take them back into that cactus shape, but this time we're gonna come into an eagle. So I'll mirror you. We'll take the right arm underneath the left. You can hold opposite shoulders, or maybe try wrapping the wrists or the hands together. It's like a little twist tie. Hug the shoulders down the back. Pull the hands slightly away from your face if you've got that eagle shape. Tuck your chin in towards your chest, and then take your right ear to your right shoulder. Imagine breathing into the upper back between the shoulder blades, and maybe try tipping your gaze slightly down. Breathe. Okay, bring your head back up through center. Gently unwind the arms. Come back through that cactus shape. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. And then again, link the hands behind you. I'm just going to hook the thumbs this time. Pull the thumbs apart, opening the chest. Really nice. Gently release. Okay, last one here, reaching the arms up through the cactus shape. And then left arm wraps underneath the right one, taking opposite sides or wrapping if you can. Lifting the elbows up, pressing the hands a bit away from the face and drawing the shoulders down. Tuck your chin in. And then left ear can drop gently towards the left shoulder. None of this should hurt. It should feel like a nice stretch. And just gently guide the breath into the upper back. You could turn the gaze down slightly or play with that a little bit. So there's sort of different areas of the neck that you can release with slightly different movements. Wherever you are, think shoulders heavy. Really nice. And then gently bring the head back through center, softly release the arms, open them through cactus. So we're just reorganizing the shoulders a little bit there. And then you can take the thumbs and hook them around behind your back or grab your strap. Maybe try your other thumb. It feels so weird to me to hook the opposite way. And then hug the shoulders together, press the hands away, pull the thumbs apart. Maybe lift the chin a little bit if you want to. And then soften and just take a moment to feel that. Maybe there's a little movement there for you. Maybe it's total stillness. Maybe there's a little rock and roll you need to do for your shoulders or your head. Or again, just being still is perfect. Okay, and then let's come to our hands and our knees. So go ahead and release your legs. You can give them a little shake. And we'll come to our cat and cow on hands and knees. So I'd love for you to approach this similarly to how we started our practice. So you can close your eyes, find a comfortable hands and knees. So that could be on fists for sure. And then just start to move your spine. So classically cat and cow is inhale, back bend, exhale, round. But again, you can take those circles, you can move side to side. And this is often how we explore cat and cow, right? So just closing the eyes and just seeing if you can kind of feel in to what kind of movement your body wants and needs today. And don't worry about what it looks like, it doesn't matter. Just nice deep breaths. Beautiful. And then let's take this into a little water wheel. So you can tuck your toes under if your knees are okay with that. Bring your hips back towards your heels and walk your hands just a bit farther forward. Draw your belly in, curl forward. And then you can come kind of into a little plank, maybe into a little bit of a back bend, just to kind of see how far you want it to go. And bring the hips back. So we're not going to do a ton of really core work today, but I do want you to be aware of your core here. So thinking of drawing in from pelvic floor to belly button and gently just supporting the back, lengthening the spine as you come forward. So you're not kind of dumping into your lower back. And you don't have to go into much or any of the back bend if it's not serving you today. So just kind of with that same quality of like seeing how far you want to go, what this feels like. And if you're feeling like you really do want a little bit more work today, you can lift your knees up and do this kind of from downward dog to plank. That's going to be a little bit more of a core exercise. Not my mood today. Okay, you have my full permission to not do that. Should you need it. Beautiful. And then next time you come forward, let's come all the way down to the belly. And let's take strange cobra. So fingertips come off the mat to the right and to the left, elbows lift. Press the tops of the feet into the mat, kneecaps lift, pubic bone presses down, and then we'll lift the chest on the inhale, any amount. And then exhale and gently lower down. Again, lift, drawing the elbows and shoulders back, and lower down. And lift, and lower. So we can add a little bit of a twist here if you're comfortable. So we inhale, and then look left, and you can dip your right shoulder down. So try to keep your pelvis steady. Up through center, look right, and maybe add that left shoulder. So it's really the upper back that's twisting, shoulder blades. I am feeling very sticky in this region today for sure. Just moving side to side with your breath. You could close your eyes. Maybe you just want to do this once or twice. That's great. I'm going to take it a couple more times myself. And when that feels complete, come through center and release down to the earth and just take a nice rest. Relax the heels, relax the bum. Breathing into the belly. And then child's pose. So press into your hands, bring the toes together, knees as wide as you like them for your child's pose, and arms wherever you like them as well. So they could be reaching forward or back by your hips. I always used to feel whenever I went to yoga classes that child's pose was never long enough for me. So let's take a good 5 or so breaths here. Just really enjoy child's pose. If you don't enjoy child's pose, lay on your belly instead. I would like for you to enjoy this, okay? Or whatever shape works for you. Okay, beautifully, you guys. When you're ready, let's come back up to our hands and our knees. I'm gonna take my socks off. If you're wearing socks, this could be the time to take your socks off. We use the feet a little bit here. So back to hands and knees. And again, remember, you can be on fists if this starts to bother your wrists. Thumbs point forward if you're on fists, okay? Take a moment to draw the shoulders down the back, gently draw the belly in. Draw the knees a little bit closer together and then take your left leg and extend it back behind you. Toes tuck under and just take a little pulse, pressing back through the heel, getting a little stretch into the calf, the back of the leg, the foot itself. Okay, and then from here, go ahead and lift that leg up. Keep everything nice and secure, drawing the hands a little together, core in, and we'll just pulse the heel up, 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 up. So we're just getting a little bit of work into the glutes here. You might notice that your right glute is working to stabilize you, so that's part of it. And then release, knees together. Wiggle your bum a little bit if you like. Okay, and then extend the legs straight out to the left. So I've got the, not sure if you guys can see that on the screen. I've got the sole of my foot down. You could also have the heel up, just kind of whatever's comfortable for you here is fine. I'm also going to tuck under my opposite, my right foot, just to give me a little more support. And we're just going to rock forward and back. Okay, so any amount, just forward and back. And I find that if I kind of stick my bum out a little bit, I don't want to totally collapse into my core, but rather than being rounded, just a nice neutral spine here. It gives me a little bit more of that release into the inner thigh. Okay. And then from here, so I'm not going to get you to lift your leg up from here because that's quite challenging. You can bring the knees back together, but float that left knee off the ground. And we're just going to lift and lower a couple of times. So a little clamshell. Again, we're not sort of overdoing the core stuff today. This is our butt core. So this is a little more for the outer hip. Just getting a little bit of that strengthening there, just to make sure that we feel good later too. And that's about enough there. Releasing the knees, you can wobble a little from side to side. Okay, and then this one's a little bit funny. We're gonna tuck the left ankle in front of the right knee. So we're in kind of a thread the needle sort of a shape here. If it helps, you can walk your hands a little bit more forward just to give you a bit more room to kind of slide the foot through. It's almost like partway to pigeon, if you can kind of think about it that way. And then from here, we're just going to stick the bum up and lean back a little bit, just until you feel that nice hip stretch. Some of you might find that coming down onto your forearms is really nice here, just lowering down a little bit. And you can pulse in and out, or you can just kind of chill where you feel a little bit of a stretch. I have my toe, my left toe is untucked right now. You could do tucked under too. That works for some people. So just kind of where that nice stretch is for you. Lovely. And then we'll come back up to the hands if you're down. Again, you can walk the hands a little bit more forward just to give you some room to bring the leg out. And then I'd love for you to actually take it into a lunge. So step that left foot forward sort of towards your hands. Back toes can be tucked or not. I'm just going to keep them tucked myself and pad that back knee, and then we'll climb up. That's it. Okay, squaring hips towards the front of the room. Draw tailbone down, and then hips come forward a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot. Place your left hand on your thigh. Reach your right arm up. Okay. And then think about drawing your ribs slightly back, reaching up through your right hand, and you can side stretch to the left. Okay, some of you might actually like to hold the side of your head, letting the head relax a little bit into the hand. Keep drawing the tailbone down and the front ribs in, even as you're pressing your hips forward. Really nice. And then gently release your arm up to the sky. Take the hands down. Let's straighten this front leg. So if you're more comfortable here with your blocks and you have blocks, you can feel free to grab those. Go ahead and extend the leg forward. I'm going to untuck my back toes at this point. So Ardha Hanumanasana, half splits. Lengthen the heart forward and then gently melt. So I often like to do that movement here. So I'm kind of lengthening on the inhale and then softening on the exhale. You don't have to do it that way. Okay, feel free to just play with it. See if you want to be still in a certain point. If your back is quite sensitive, it's nice to stay up really high. Keep the back really neutral, but focus on kind of pressing the left heel into the mat and drawing the left hip back. Okay. You can close your eyes if you like. Nice. Okay, and then let's see if we can get into the IT band just a little bit. So you're going to bend into that leg again, and then walk it in towards the midline so that your knee and your heel are kind of on a line together. And then carefully straighten the leg. So you're a little narrower here. And then you might stay here. This is plenty for lots of us. Or you can walk your hands to the outside of your left leg. Ooh. Try to keep the toes pointing straight up to the sky, sticking your bum out and drawing your heart to the left. That's even a little much for me there. I'm gonna stay just a bit narrower here, I think. Keep pressing the left heel into the mat, heart forward, tailbone back. Oh, haven't been there in a while, hey? That outer thigh, outer hip region. Interesting spot. I like to refer to this as one of the vomit asanas because sometimes you feel this like kind of coming up when you get into these sticky spots. If it's too much, of course, back off. Please don't actually vomit. Okay, walk your hands back. Soften your knee, let's let that go. Come back to your hands and your knees and then see what works for you here. So I'm gonna take downward dog and just work it out a little bit. You could do cat and cow here or child's pose as well. If you are taking downward dog, you might just really notice that the two legs feel quite different. We've been doing quite a bit of work on that left leg. So the right leg might be like, what about me, guys? What about me? So just feel that. And then when you're ready, let's come to the second side. So come on back down to your hands and your knees, just sort of finding your alignment here, really shoulders on the back. Remember, you can be on fists if your wrists are getting sensitive. I think we'll do a wrist release a little later. Okay, go ahead and extend your right leg. Toes are down on the mat for now or the floor, and we're just kind of rocking back into the heel, giving the calf and foot a little bit of a release. Okay, and then keep everything contained. So it's like hands and knee are kind of hugging in together. Float that right leg off the mat. Really draw the belly button in, and just little pulses with the foot flexed. And think of squeezing your bum itself. So it's actually the bum that's doing the lifting, not the spine. Really nice. And then we'll bring the knee down and you can kind of wave the hips side to side if you like. Maybe cat and cow or circle. And then the right leg goes straight out to the right. I'm going to tuck my back toes under because I like that little bit of support. And the flat of my foot is currently down, but it can lift up a little bit as you do the rocking. So just going forward and back. A little massage into the groin. And just notice as well, if you're kind of tipping your hips open to the right, try to keep them facing down. Stick your bum back a little bit, so neutral spine. Just exploring how far you want to go. You could also pause for sure if you want. Beautiful. And then we'll bring the knee back in, but float it. Again, working with that sense of core. We're just going to open and close a few times. So you want to get that peeing on a hydrant kind of a feeling here. With that outer hip doing the work. Try to keep everything else nice and steady. I'm noticing my supporting hip a little bit more today. Okay, and then We'll release that and we'll come into that little hip opener. So tucking the right ankle in. And if it helps, walk your hands a bit forward. And then you can kind of slide your foot in that way. And then walk back. Stick your bum up, lean back a little bit. And if you want to come to your forearms, if that feels like the right place for you to be, please feel free to, even if you just need a break for your wrists. And you're kind of sticking your bum up and maybe a little bit to the right. See where you get that nice stretch. Awesome. Okay, when you're ready, come back up to your hands. Let's ease off. Again, you can walk your hands forward a little bit to bring your foot into a lunge. Okay, pad your back knee if it's helpful to do that. It doesn't have to be a really long lunge. I'm doing actually a bit of a short one here. So the hips are, they're a little bit ahead of the back knee. We just don't need to go too far with that. Okay, so hips are squaring, tailbones drawing down. Press into that back foot, especially if the toes are tucked under, that's helpful there. Lengthen the tailbone, draw the front ribs back, right hand to the thigh, and there's almost a little bit of pressing into the thigh here, like that, kind of to help hollow out the belly. And then reach up the left arm. Keep that hollowing, little bit of a press into the hand, hips are coming forward, and then you can side stretch to the right, maybe holding the head if you'd like. So there are a lot of opposing actions happening here. So we're hugging the inner thighs, but we're also pressing the hips forward, but we're also lengthening the tailbone and lifting the chest even while we draw the front ribs in, right? So there's a lot of different stuff happening there. And when we do those opposing actions, that's when we get the stretch, right? If you're feeling it kind of around your front of your left thigh, you're great. Certainly might feel it in the shoulder or side there as well. That's perfect. Okay, we're going to come back up. Release the hands. Feel free to use your blocks. We're going to straighten out that front leg. So here we do want the hip right over top of the knee. And your back foot can be tucked or not, just whatever your knee prefers is fine. Okay, a little bit of a bend in the knee, flex the foot, draw your heart forward and try to stick your butt out a little behind you. And then you might explore a little rise and fall. See if that feels right for you today. Stillness is great too. Just kind of see how you're tapping into the rhythm of your breath. Most days I find I like to move, but every now and then I do find that actually stillness is where I'm at. And you can honor that, right? Sometimes we need to shake things up a little bit, but a lot of the time just being with where the body already is a nice way of just calming the nervous system, letting our bodies know we trust them, which is a practice. So good, you guys. Okay, and then from here, bend into your leg, walk your foot a little bit more into the midline. So knee and heel are roughly in line. Carefully straighten that leg again. So this one can be pretty intense depending on what's going on. So don't overdo it. Just think about pressing into the heel, little bend in the knee. Maybe you're walking your hands to the right, to the outside of your leg. And then you're kind of sticking your butt out into the left, heart forward to the right. Notice if your foot is wanting to collapse to the right, try to keep the toes pointing straight up and breathe. And if it is this kind of like, oh, very intense sort of feeling coming up, you can also inhale and then do a little lion's breath. Give that energy sort of it's like pointing an exit sign at a doorway to that energy that needs to come out. I'm going to do one more. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, let's gently walk back. Bend the leg, walk it back through the midline. Come on back through your hands and knees, and then optionally take your downward dog. You could take cat and cow or child's pose here as well. And if you're in downward dog, just bending one knee at a time and noticing how the two sides of the body feel, how the two legs feel. You could also do a little rinse here with something like a vinyasa, which might be these water wheels that we were doing before. So the hips coming back and then coming round and forward. So a little reset. And then come to sitting on your heels or standing on your knees. And we'll just do a little bit of wrist release. That little hip clock has a bit of wrist going on in it. So we'll inhale and spread the fingers really nice and wide. And then on the exhale, curl the knuckles down and make a little paw with your hand. And then inhale, spread the fingers. Exhale and curl. Good. Inhale and exhale. Let's do that 2 more times. And then hold, shoulders soft. And then circle. You can give your hands a little shake too. Okay, so let's make our way down onto our backs. So you can sit over to one side, make your way down. And I'd like to explore a bit of bridge pose today. We were working on this in class, I think that was Tuesday, maybe it was earlier. Pretty sure it was Tuesday. We were working on bridge. So I want to come back to that. And I know not all of you were there. So let's just kind of come back to what it is. So when we come into bridge, what I'd like to do is come in and out a couple of times to condition the muscles. But then I want to come in a little bit of a different way. Okay. So for me, a big key of this is actually the elbows. So let's take the elbows down beside the ribs, so kind of like robot style. Push the elbows down and apart, hug the shoulders together. Heels in line with the outer hips is what works for me. Knees point up to the sky, lift your toes, spread them apart, reconnect them. Gently engage the core, but I don't need you to tuck your tailbone. Just keep the back neutral, okay? Inhale, as you exhale, press into your heels and lift up your bum a little bit, and then lower. Okay, and just do that a couple of times. So core is engaged, glutes are engaged. We're just lifting and lowering a couple of times. And we want to use the glutes in our bridge for sure, but there are some other things that we want to do too. So we're just saying, hello, hello glutes. This is what I want you to do. Okay, that's great. And then relax for a moment, but keep the shape. Okay, take a breath. Now this is going to look a little bit different. So we're going to come up, but this time we're going to really focus on the elbows pressing down and apart, and the feet pressing down and forward as if you're trying to stretch the mat underneath you. Okay, so let's inhale. Gently engage the core. You don't need to tuck your tailbone. Just lift up your bum. Okay, and then elbows pressing down and apart. So the chest starts to come towards the chin. Push the floor forward away from you. You might even snuggle the shoulders in a little bit more and hug the inner thighs together. Glutes are working. You don't need to think about them, okay, right now. Keep pushing the elbows apart, opening the chest. See if you feel any hollowing or stretching in your belly. And then gently release. Take a breath and feel. Okay, let's go up again. So my feet are outer hips distance apart, starting with that robot arms. I do want to engage the core, but I'm not doing this tucking up, okay? Because that, I find when we do that, it overly activates the glutes, and then the glutes kind of prevent anything else from happening. So we actually want to keep the spine just nice and neutral, okay? So inhale, exhale, lift up with your heels, push the elbows down and apart, hug the inner thighs a bit, push the floor away, and then straighten your arms and grab the edges of your mat. Pull the mat apart with your hands as you push the floor forward with your feet. Hug the inner thighs together. Think of stretching your belly and your lower back. So the whole belly is getting actually longer. Really nice. And then gently release down onto your back and just relax. You can let the knees fall together or apart with the soles of the feet together, and just take a few breaths to really feel that. Nice. And then you can hug the knees into your chest. Roll over to your right side. Bring the knees up roughly in line with your hips. You can always change that. And the heels in line with the knees so that your legs are kind of 90 degrees-ish. Make sure you've got a little inward curve in your lower back, then reach your left arm up and roll it open. So we're coming into a twist that's a little bit more focused on the upper chest region, okay? So the shoulders reaching towards the ground. Your knees could have something in between them. And I'm not so concerned with keeping the knees really together. You can allow them to open a little bit, but if there's any pain in the lower back, do put a block in between your knees, okay? My aim here is not to crank the lower back so much, but actually to open the chest. So think about keeping the hips just relatively stacked. Again, don't sort of force that, but the shoulder really relaxed, and you can look to the left as well. And then gently curl to your right side again, and we'll just switch. So go ahead and roll over to your left. Bring the knees up roughly in line with the hips. That can change once you're in the pose. Inward curve in the lower back, and roll open that right arm, right shoulder. So when we go in this way, the shoulder doesn't necessarily always touch the floor. That's okay. As long as there's no tingling in the hand. If there is, change something, including just bending the knee, elbow right up and placing your hand on your rib. Okay, otherwise just let the shoulder be nice and heavy. You can look right if you'd like, or even rock your head a bit. So I'm hoping you're feeling this mostly in the upper body, which is the part of the spine that likes to twist. The lower back actually doesn't really like to twist. Can a little, but that's not really what it wants to do. Awesome. And then we'll gently roll back to the left side and then return to laying on the back. And actually, let's come up to a seat. I changed my mind what I want to do here. Let's come back to where we started in the seat. You can have a seat on your little piece of support if you like, and you may or may not need that. So we're gonna do some hip opening here. And I should say, if you really just prefer for hip opening, um, laying down and doing thread the needle, you absolutely can. Okay, otherwise we're gonna try a bit of seated stuff. So let's do this one. So sit right up on your prop for now. Extend the legs out in front of you. I'll mirror you. Take your right leg over top of your left. Hold on to the knee and just hug in for a moment and lift your chest. So this might already be like, if you feel that outer hip opening, you can stay here, okay? Otherwise, try and stack the knees. And again, you might stay here. Be aware of there being some pressure on that bottom knee. You can keep the leg straight and put a little prop underneath it, but if possible, gather that heel in as well. So we're in a pose called cow face. I often like to actually physically move the flesh of my thighs out of the way and draw the flesh of my hips back. Your feet could be closer to your hips or a little farther away. You can kind of see what works for you. And then just take a moment to sit up tall. So again, you might already be feeling something here. Take your right fingertips to the earth beside you. Reach the left arm up and just take a little bit of a side stretch. So you might notice that you're going to feel this actually in your outer hip as well as in all the side stretch places. You can again hold your head if you'd like. Okay, and then gently come back through center. Let's just for a breath go to the other side, so that we're not too twisty. We'll come back to that and then release through center, and then you can explore forward folding, which might not look like much, okay? Or you might walk forward a little bit. So now you'll probably feel the stretch moving a bit more into your right hip, the one that's on top. See if you can relax your jaw. All right, and then gently roll up when you feel ready. You can use your hands to help you to release the legs, and we can take a little windshield wiper here. Extend the legs, give them a little shake. And then take your left leg over top, explore this shape. Okay, depending on your hips, you might stay here. Just thinking of sit bone down, the knee coming in, maybe stacking, make sure your bottom knee feels safe. And if you can, bring that one in. And you can kind of wiggle a little into it. Draw the flesh back a bit. Find that place that feels relatively settled. Walk the left fingertips a little away. Reach the right arm up. So we're kind of anchoring the right hip down. So you might feel a little bit more of a stretch there. You can hold your head if that works for you. And then gently back up, and we'll explore a forward fold, which might just be sort of an intention forward. You might actually move into it a little bit, see how it goes. Two sides might be quite different. You might feel a stretch in both hips for sure. Probably more so on the leg that's on top. Beautiful. And then let's rise back up. Gently unwind the legs. You can give them a little rock from side to side. And then we'll just take one more shape. So you could do, what is it? Happy baby, laying on the back if you'd like, or take this one with me, just taking your legs sort of a comfortable distance wide. You're still sitting up on that little bit of a prop. Feet are flexed. And then again, sitting up or as much of a forward fold as you'd like to take. Just opening after the compression of that last pose. Softening the jaw and the neck if you can. Lovely. And then when that feels complete for you, let's gently come out. You can draw the legs together, maybe windshield wipe, or sometimes I like to just give them a little hug. And we'll make our way into Shavasana. So you can lay on your back, you can have your bolster underneath your thighs. You could do legs up the wall or lay on your side. Shavasana just means the most comfortable that you could be so that you can rest and absorb the benefits of our practice. So take a moment to find whatever that place is for you. And when you get there, take a nice deep breath and just receive. So take a moment to notice how you're feeling right now, how your breath is moving through you. Maybe it would feel good to deepen your breath, rock your head from side to side, maybe stretch. And draw your knees in, roll over to one side. And then press yourself up to a comfortable seat. Bring your hands to your heart or over top, or wherever feels right for you today. And I'll offer one hum if you'd like to take one at your own pace. And then bowing mind to heart, taking a moment to honor and acknowledge whatever it took for you to get here to your practice today. To honor and acknowledge the long and complex lineage of teachers that is with us in our yoga. And to honor and acknowledge the land that we practice on. Thank you for sharing your practice today.